Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for another interview with Hollywood Now, where we bring to you wonderful, wonderful interviews with today's hottest stars and celebrities, Hollywood insiders, and influencers. Today is no exception. Another great interview. Before we get into this interview today, we want to thank our sponsors and our partners. We want to thank Heart to Heart for You.org and Heal to Heal.org, as well as Tommy Washington Therapist Group for their wonderful partnership. And if you are interested in partnering with King Solomon Entertainment Media Group, please send us an email at our official website, kingsolomonentertainment.tv, and connect with us, and we'll let you know how to do just that. If you have not subscribed already, take this time and subscribe. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. King Solomon Entertainment Company and Media Group. Please subscribe, share this video. We are so excited to have today's guest on Hollywood Now. He is a Hollywood producer, writer, filmmaker, NYU graduate, and just done wonderful, wonderful things. He is working on a wonderful, great project. I can't wait to ask him about it. We want to thank Andre Gaines for being here today on this program. Thank you so much, Andre.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you so much. And so we like to ask our guests to introduce themselves. Please let our audience know who you are.
Absolutely. My name is Andre Gaines. I'm the founder of Cinemations Studios, and I'm the executive producer on the HBO series The Lady in the Dale, which is currently on right now on HBO.
Yes. So how did you get started in Hollywood?
I actually went to NYU Film School, so New York University, Tisch School of the Arts. I went to
Tisch.
Yeah,
good school, great school.
I have to give shouts to the Wildcats too. I went to Northwestern University as an undergraduate in Chicago.
Oh, that's my hometown. Shout out to Northwestern.
Yeah, right. And I know that people from Chicago don't like people who went to Northwestern saying it's in Chicago because it's in the North Shore. So, yeah. but I did have a great time when I was in Chicago. But yeah, so they really got started there. You know, just writing plays and directing them and starring in some of them, and then when I went to film school, really got involved in animation at the time, and sold a few shows and wrote a few, and before you know it, ended up with working with a really great studio in France called Studio Canal to develop some of their content for audience. So taking some of their international films and bringing them to the U.S. market. And that's when I really got into film finance. That's when I started to finance movies and started financing a lot of documentaries, financing a lot of scripted films, including Spike Lee's The Sweet Blood of Jesus. And so that's really where I began my career, and in doing that, that what led me to what I'm doing right now.
So with the path that you've taken, with understanding the importance of financing film and how the whole machine works as far as getting films made, how has that made a difference in your career? Because that's one of the most challenging, distribution and funding, correct?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was always going to be that was always a central focus, and always going to be an important focus for me, is to try to maintain some control over the money. And you know, my parents taught me how to work with money when I was a little kid. I mean, I remember, you know, growing up in the church. My dad was a trustee in the church. My grandfather a deacon, and they'd take the collection, and I'd go in the back because I like counting the money. You know, that's where I wanted it to be.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's like I'd like going back there, hanging out with those old guys, and counting some money with them. And so I always had a I think understanding of finance. And my dad was a businessman and real estate developer later in life, and really a lot of those methods and things like that. And my mom, you know, I remember her teaching me about credit cards, and the way she taught me was by giving me one when I was like I don't know, teenager or just barely a teenager. She gave me this little pamphlet. It's like the first credit card I ever had was a Discover card. She gave me like this little pamphlet that explain how credit works, and really from there was always going to be kind of a central part of it. And so when I got into the movie business and really got an eye opener of how money exchanged hands and how it operates, I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. I was a creative person. I was a writer, director, producer. I was creative minded. I know how to tell a story, and so I felt like I had that part really covered, and the other part, which I didn't at the time, and a lot of people don't, quite frankly, was the finance piece. And so it was exciting to get involved in it, and it was exciting to try to make some of these filmmakers' dreams come true by telling their stories ultimately, including projects of our own.
Wow. What was it like working with Spike Lee, director Seth Gordon, and working at HBO?
Yeah, so on Spike's film, The Sweet Blood of Jesus, I was just one of the investors on that project, and so we had a fairly limited interaction. I did meet him and talk to him multiple times when I was a student at NYU, and then Seth Gordon is just fantastic. I mean, a consummate professional, really knows his stuff. One of these brilliant minds in town, wildly creative. We worked together on Bill Nye's Science Guy and are mutual friends with a lot of people. And then really with Mark and Jay Duplass on The Lady in the Dale, these guys are two filmmakers that really pioneered and engineered, I guess I should say, the whole independent film market. Mark Duplass and I talked regularly, and in some cases really about using your own money to make a story. I mean, these guys wrote a whole book about it. If you live in an apartment, they said, then you can make a movie. You've got a movie set. You can go and tell the story. So it
Yeah.
really, and then now, they were saying that type of stuff before the dawn of iPhones and the dawn of modern computers and things like this. I mean, if you have an iPhone now, I say to so many of the filmmakers that I mentor on a regular basis, you can go make a movie. This is a major, this thing is a motion picture camera. That's what it is. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the broadcasts that we see on the news of reporters out in the field or news stories, things like that, they're shot on iPhones, they're shot on Samsungs, they're shot on these Google Pixel cameras and things like this. And so it really is the only barrier or thing that sort of separates one person from the next in the industry is some people being bold enough to try and to do it.
And that's so interesting. You say that, Andre, because when I was studying screenwriting and when you learned of yesterday, they always gave you the advice, it's not wise to use your own money. They used to say
Yeah,
that
right.
before. So, and I know like people like Tyler Perry didn't definitely put that to
No,
shame,
he
but
didn't listen to that advice. Yeah.
but
He didn't
it's
listen
come
to
a
that.
long way. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, everybody does. It's sort of the open secret. I mean,
Mm,
some of us use it more than others, and but every filmmaker every filmmaker that I've come across, like young first time filmmakers that I've met, that I ultimately end up mentoring. I mean, one of them, Matt Shemanowski, whose film I'm making his sophomore film right now. I've helped finance and distribute his first film, The Purple Onion, and making his sophomore debut with The Glorious Empire. And really, with all of them, that's something that they've been taught. I was taught that from a school standpoint, like you're saying, when you're going to become a filmmaker or a screenwriter, you get taught like don't use your own money. But first of all, most of the time when people say that, they're talking about millions of dollars. They're not talking about like use $3,000 to go make a short film. That's the first thing. But one of the key things that I always took away when I talked to filmmakers who wanted to make a movie and get into the business is they said, well, everybody's telling me not to use my own money, but I don't know any investors. I
right.
don't have a stable of people waiting in line to just throw me money at my creative endeavors. And so, if the only barrier between you and success, which the old adage goes, 90% of success is just finishing, just completing the task. The other 10% is maybe some skill and talent, but for the ones that actually just do it, then it's a really the success and the benefits and the rewards really come through at the end of the day.
Please tell us about the current project you're working on now. Please
Yeah.
tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the current project I'm working on right now is called The Lady in the Dale. It's a 4-part series, limited series, documentary series that's on HBO. And it premiered initially on January 31st, episodes 1 and 2. And then episode 3 was last week. But episode 4, the final episode, which everyone should tune in, is going to be on Sunday on HBO at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Pacific. And if you have HBO Max, then you can also stream it on HBO Max. And you might be able to stream it early, actually, on HBO Max. We released it early last week. And so The Lady in the Dale is this remarkable story about a transgender woman named Elizabeth Carmichael, who in the 1970s built a 3-wheel car called the Dale. And it was this space age looking yellow car with 3 wheels, and nobody had ever seen anything like that. It stood out because, let alone 3 wheels, but it was just really bright yellow. And she was intending to solve the gas crisis. This happened before I was born, but in the 70s, for a lot of people and a lot of your viewers in particular, there was a gas shortage in the U.S. And so the same way that people were lining up outside of grocery stores in the middle of our pandemic to try to get toilet paper and try to get canned goods and whatever else to kind of make it through the storm. Well, the same thing was kind of happening during that time, where there were long lines of cars of people waiting to get gasoline because the gas stations were running out of gas. So she built this car to go 70 miles a gallon and solve that crisis. And she was at the right place in the right time. But the big 3 automakers, which are GM, Chrysler, and Ford, were believed to have brought her down, because this really would have changed a lot of things. I mean, if you can imagine if a car went 70 miles to the gallon back in 1975, like, how far would our SUVs be going, today, to have that type of fuel efficiency and things like that. So she was this pioneer. There's, whole crazy backstory in her life, crazy story after she started the company. And for her to, be a pioneer as a
Yeah. It's freezing just a little bit. Andre? It's freezing. Let me see what happened. Froze. Yeah, we're here today, Hollywood Now, with Andre Gaines, new HBO movie that's out. A little technical difficulties. I think the internet froze. Hopefully, here he goes back in. So, yeah. So,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm in the middle of the desert.
okay, so it's to resolve the gas short crises. And what was the last part you said?
Yeah, so I'll just take it from the top. So the Elizabeth Carmichael is the central figure in The Lady in the Dale, which is the 4-part series on HBO. And she built a car back in the 1970s called the Dale. And it was a 3-wheel car that was supposed to solve the gas shortage of the 1970s. And the gas shortage that occurred during that time, for a lot of people who don't know, is, very similar to people making a run on toilet paper and different things like that in the middle of the pandemic. There's long lines of cars waiting to get gas. And she was going to do that. And she did, but was really brought down by the big 3 automakers, GM, Chrysler, and Ford, that didn't want to see these, fuel efficient standards kind of come to fruition and ended up on trial. And yeah, she had a sordid past and was kind of ran with the underclass, so to speak. But she really stepped forward in a way that was commendable and enough for us to make a series about it for sure.
No, it's amazing, amazing. And I definitely want to ask you before, I know you have to do other press. You help finance films, you help produce films, write films. What advice would you give someone who is looking to get their film financed and they will want you to finance it? What are some of the criteria you look for to make that happen? Distribution, what would you tell them that they must have?
Yeah, that's a great question. So really, for anybody that wants to get their movie made, my advice is to go make it. That's always been my advice, to actually go and make it. And I know some people like look at it and say, well, I'm a starving artist, or I'm, filmmaker, I'm just starting out, that sort of thing. But again, the technology, I mean, even when I graduated NYU, which was um, just a little over 10 years ago at this point, it that technology, what wasn't really there, the iPhone technology and things like this. The talent was always there, but the technology wasn't really there for sort of cheap, easy access to tell stories. I mean, unless you had a bunch of money to go get rolls and spools of film, of celluloid and big Panavision cameras and things like that, you really couldn't go and make a film. But you can now with the device that's actually in your pocket. So I feel, and YouTube was just kind of becoming like a major thing. This was right around the time that Barack Obama got elected the first time he got elected president, and it really wasn't like it is now. So there really is, there really are less excuses, I guess I should say, for being able
Yes.
for the barriers of entry. But in so doing that, and going out there and just making movies and telling stories and making short films, and even your broadcasts. I mean, somebody wants to become a news reporter or a correspondent, you're an inspiration. Go start it. Just go and do it yourself. Because what ends up happening is that the established industry, or veterans like myself, we end up taking notice. I mean, The Lady in the Dale is one really great example. I mean, this is a first-time filmmaker, Nick Camilleri, who had been working on a project for 8 years, doing the research, compiling it, taking money from driving Ubers and Lyfts and turning around and investing it in himself and his own project, and sent over a little teaser trailer that he cut together, not longer than maybe a minute and a half. Very rough, very unrefined, not polished, but I could see, and my partner Alan Bain, who brought it to me, we could both see clearly that there was something there. And look what it became. And we developed it a step further to make it broadcast ready, and then brought Mark and Jay Duplass on, and they saw the same thing, and then took it to HBO, and they saw the same thing. So it's really just doing it, man. It's like, the barrier to entry for these things is not waiting for somebody to give you permission to do it. Just, write a script, get some actors, go shoot a movie, and before you know it, we're producers, we're regular people. We just scour the internet like everybody else. We're flipping through social media like everybody else. There's bound to be something we come across that is, really remarkable and strong enough to be on television, or strong enough to be in a movie theater.
Yeah. So definitely go make the movie and make sure the story and the storyline is real strong, and it'll get noticed.
Yeah, true. I mean, the one key piece of advice that I always give to people is making sure that the central character is really, really strong. I mean, that's something that I look for, and I read scripts all day, and read scripts, watch movies and TV shows all day. And if there's not a really strong central character, then the story really falls apart. So anything that you do is just really making sure that you have a strong central character.
Wow. So please definitely tell them about the movie that's coming out this Sunday on HBO, how they can get in contact with you, and we'll conclude.
Yeah, sure. So the series is The Lady in the Dale. It's on HBO, and it's on HBO. And the last episode, episode 4, will be coming on Sunday night, and at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then I'm on Instagram at Andre L. Gaines, and on Twitter at Andre Gaines. And so you can reach me there.
Thank you so much, Andre Gaines, producer, writer, this creator, Cinemation, founder of Cinemation Studios. Thank you so much for being here, and definitely check out the movie. Another interview with Hollywood Now. We are so excited to have filmmaker Andre Gaines. Thank you so much for doing our wonderful platform. If you have not subscribed, please do so. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. King Solomon Entertainment and Media Company. Please subscribe, share this video. Thank you so much, Andre Gaines, for coming, and great stuff. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Definitely connect with you. Till next time. All right, then.
Bye-bye. All right. Take care. Looking forward.